Over to you, Siska. You can share your screen and start.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Oh, it's still good morning. Good morning, everyone. So my presentation will focus on taking Excel to the next level. So just some background information, like Dr. Van Wyk just said, I am a master's student with Dr. Kim and Dr. Van Wyk. And I also lecture computer literacy and information literacy at the university. And I have over 9,000 students in my module. So this game was the perfect idea specifically for this module. So this presentation will focus on an online escape room with a game-based learning approach. Now, to ultimately investigate and promote student motivation. But today we will mostly focus on the game aspect. Now, the theory of student motivation is more prominent now than ever due to the global pandemic and also online learning. You know, students are alone at home and we need to do something to make them excited about wanting to learn. So we need to comprehend how to grip, you know, the complexity of this generation especially, and we need to design innovative teaching and learning approaches. So let's look at some of the few things that I suggest. So you need to first decide on what is the purpose of your game, okay? Then we need to design our game. We need to find a platform which we can build our game on. And then lastly, we need to do the implementation. So students playing the game. Now, you need to ask yourself some of the following questions. You know, what knowledge do I want to test in my game? So what is the content going to be, your topic or your theme? And then you need to look at what kind of game you want to create. So the possibilities are endless. And in this case, I decided to make an escape room. So the purpose of my game was to test these three Excel functions. So and, if, and then count if. And I decided to specifically use a game-based learning approach because of the gaming elements, okay? So with your game-based learning, it describes it as an approach to teaching where students explore relevant aspects of games in a learning context. So now that we know what kind of game we want to create, I went and created my puzzles on Excel specifically. So this is an example of how the file looks. I called this the start file. And on this file, you find your puzzles, okay? So puzzles inside the start file, and then you have clues in your actual escape room. And all of these are linked, okay? So interactivity was a big key for my game because I wanted the students to use the Excel sheet as well as the escape room, okay? Because otherwise, if they just use the escape room, there's no way to actually test if they can apply this knowledge on Excel, which is ultimately the goal of this game. So I created the Excel sheet and then I set out the puzzles, which also double as the instructions. And I planned the clues for the escape room. And the game has a time limit. I set it to 30 minutes because there's 6 clues. And the students need to solve puzzles with the help of clues to unlock certain items in the escape room to ultimately escape the room, and that is their reward. So escaping the room is the actual reward. So I think the most difficult part about planning a game is finding a platform to use. And I really struggled with this. I started with Google Forms, but then I realized, you know, it's not that fun, it's not that interactive, and there isn't a lot that you can do with it, especially in the contents of Excel. So I found a platform that's called Room Escape Maker, and I also put a link in the chat box for anyone that wants to go and explore it. It is an amazing platform and I definitely recommend using it. You can do so many different things on it, and the free one is definitely more than enough. You don't need to pay for the premium one unless you want to, okay? So with the premium one, it just gives you access to things like a scoreboard and more items that you can place in your room. So in my room, I actually had 2 rooms. So we have the library and then we have the living room. So I decided to go with, you know, classic solve a murder scenario where they had to look for clues inside the house, which is now in the library and the living room. And these clues will help them solve the functions on the Excel sheet. So they need to use both of these at the same time, otherwise it's not going to work. So I made a content area in my module. I called it the Fun Center, and this is now where students were able to access the game. So there was 3 steps. So step 1 is for them to give consent, because I use this for my data collection. Step 2 is now where they get the Excel file, which is this one, and then also the link to the escape room where they can play the game. And then the last step was just for them to complete the survey. Now, with this game, the students, like I said, need to have both open at the same time, because they need to follow, for example, step 1, and then they need to look for that in the room to do the next thing. Okay, so just some feedback from the Room Escape Maker. I also placed a password on my game, which I definitely recommend to anyone that has a specific plan for their game. Otherwise, random people will play your game and influence your numbers. So in the module, like I said, there's 9,000 students. Only around 1,591 played the game. And most of them managed to escape. So the unique escape are the ones that escape extremely fast. And then these ones escaped in time. And there is quite a few students who could not escape. And then I just put some feedback on the screen for you guys. So one of the questions was, how did you overcome the difficulties that you encountered while playing the game? Okay, so most of them are very good and some of them are quite funny. I tried my best. I asked for help. I just closed the tab, relaxing my mind. I did not understand the game at all. I used help in Excel. Google saved me. So ultimately, the feedback from the game was that it definitely motivated students. It made them more competitive. They really wanted to escape the room, and they wanted to solve the murder to be able to do those 3 Excel functions. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Ciska. Is there any questions? You can just raise your hand or you can type in the chat room. While you are still processing the information. Okay, sorry. Yes, Kim?
Sister, can you please tell us how did your students respond to this type of activity? Do you feel that they learned more, or was it just a distraction?
So from the feedback from the students, they definitely learned more. Most of them preferred this way of doing Excel, you know, in a game situation where to learn Excel. They like this more than the traditional assignment where you have your instructions, you follow it out, and that's it. So the students didn't find it as a distraction. They really liked it, and most of them completed in the sessions.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? No other questions. Cisco, one from my side as well. When the students play the game, didn't you find that it takes up much more time for them to grasp a concept? So that is the first part of my question. But in the backside of the flip side of that, do you think they will remember it longer if they struggle through an escape room to solve it than just watching a video, for example, on the steps to do it?
Oh, yes, definitely. So firstly, some, the students are mixed. Some really know what's going on, some don't. Some caught on quickly, some really struggled. One of the basic things that a lot of students struggled with was unhiding a sheet in Excel. But most students said that, with the trial and error, by redoing it to get it correct, because you can't move on if you don't get your and, your if, and your count if correct. So they said that, they'll never forget how to do it. So I think that it definitely helped them grasp those concepts easier.
Thank you. And just a few comments from the side is that people really liked your presentation, and it also gave them ideas. And I think that's the ideas of sharing this so that other people can also implement something similar in their environments. Thank you, Siska, for sharing your information with us. You can stop sharing your screen and then we'll get the presentation ready, but we will only start our next presentation at 11:40 for in case other people want to join this session as well. They don't miss out on anything. So if you are going to be patient with us for a few minutes, or you can chat with Siska in the chat function, ask her more questions about what she did, what pitfalls she had, what advice she can give you of things not to do. You are most welcome to ask her. And also remember to join us during lunch in the Kuma space. So there you might also see some of the presenters, and then you can ask them questions about their presentations as well as enter the lucky draw. I have a peek inside the lucky draw, and there's already quite a few people who have responded. So please feel free, put your name in the virtual hat, and we have quite a few exciting prizes to give away at the end of the day. Okay, so let me just check if the next presenter is in the room. Prof. Wichman, yes, she is here. So before we move on, is there any other questions you want to ask in general with regards to escape rooms? Any game-based learning for that matter? Any comments? So nothing. Okay, so we'll just wait another few minutes. Oh God, yes. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself and I'll see you back in 5 minutes.